Welcome back. If you're watching or listening, the Bench Points podcast. If you're watching, you already know it's not a regular guest. It's Josh, friend of the pod, Josh Gonzalez, season ticket holder, avid Minnesota fan. I had to hop him on since Zach couldn't make it this week. Man has got banned from our Instagram page where he can't comment anymore. You commented on one of our Instagram reels, and then I think you commented back to yourself, and then again, which is the funniest thing ever, but Instagram eventually viewed it as spam, so he's on the lookout. But Josh Gonzalez,
No!
welcome to the show, man. You've been on it before.
A few different times.
Biggest supporter, and with him being here and some requests, it's a Timberwolves episode here. We're going to do some deep dives, looking about how they stack against the West, maybe how we get further down the line, how they might look against some East teams if there's any fears, if you know what I mean. Maybe look at some positive and negatives of the team. Then I kind of want to do a youth plan segment of all their players of 4 years or under in experience. Just want to see what the plan is. Maybe that'll include a mock trade from me. I know you cooked up a mock trade. Wouldn't be a podcast without cooking up a mock trade. So I'll ask you this, Josh. If you're ranking the 5 teams in the West of contenders, are the Timberwolves on there?
The top 5 West teams. Yeah, I would say so.
All right,
I mean,
give us the
obviously you
ranking
have
then.
you got your number one with the Thunder. And then I think I think we're probably in like the third tier because I would say the Lakers have looked a little bit rough lately, but when they're all clicking, I think they're there with the Nuggets. I think those two are right below the Thunder. And then it kind of goes, I don't know, maybe the Rockets and us. But I
Okay,
don't see really anyone else above us. And the Rockets, I feel like we're kind of,
head to head.
at
And
the same level. Yeah, exactly.
funny enough, you mentioned the Lakers, which Zach and I did do that on the podcast where I did top contenders in the West maybe 2 weeks ago. And I put fifth the Lakers and did not include the Timberwolves. A team you didn't include in your list right there after a pretty good week other than last night were the San Antonio Spurs. You did not see them as a contender after winning 8 in a row. I think they're 23-8 right now, second in the West, and you do not view them as contenders?
I mean, I think they could kind of be in that same spot with us and the Rockets. I just think the Rockets have a little bit more experience at this point. Now, the Spurs, I mean, like Fox, he's got one playoff series.
One playoff series, a
So, I
seven
mean,
game one.
I guess Barnes has been to a couple finals, but he's, I don't know, maybe their fourth, fifth option. He's been a fantastic shooter for him this year. He's been arguably having his best year just because of the role he's in and he's staying in that role. Um,
Yeah.
Wemby's health is always a little bit of a question, so I don't know if he's going to be able to like maintain a run all the way to the finals. Obviously, he's probably like the best player in the league outside of a handful of players. So,
And Luke Cornett did win a championship. Bismack
okay,
Biyombo
he's
can't do much. He's had one of the worst plus minuses of his career, so he's not the biggest winning player. Kelly Olynyk definitely had some playoff series with the Celtics and stuff before. Jordan McLaughlin, your guy, maybe has played a little bit, knows what it's about, but other than Keldon Johnson being on the Olympic team
that's what
somehow,
I'm saying.
they
There's
do
just
not
not
have
a
a lot of
lot of
experience.
exactly. There's just not a lot of playoff long runs outside of like role players that aren't key contributors, other
Well,
than maybe like Barnes. I guess Olynyk and Cornette have
but he
played
doesn't play. Oh, Cornette
just
plays.
kind of in like the spot minutes when Wemby's hurt.
Yeah, I'm not trying
So
to talk down the Spurs, but I would say there's 4 guys too that don't have as much experience. Key role players like Stephon Castle, who's probably making a running for the second best player on that team over De'Aaron
mhm.
Fox with a chance with his energy, but he hasn't obviously played a playoff series, and neither has Dylan Harper. I'm not even sure Vassell has played anything, and Champagny probably not either. So 4 key players that don't have a lot of experience, and that's what's taking you down there in the West. So you have them at a tier below that, and the Timberwolves are in the same tier with the Rockets, which I do find to be a little bit realistic here. I mean, someone made a good point. The Timberwolves have been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Again, you kind of have to go through them. No, they have not been the winning team of those finals games, but they're there to kind of like get their chip back and go again for the third time here and try to secure something. They've definitely had a couple. I mean, Josh, you were at the Brooklyn. You're a season ticket holder. You were at the Brooklyn Nets game. You watched Cam Thomas drop 30 in 20 minutes. Welcome back.
Yep.
And you're probably, I imagine, on Christmas Day watching an insane game for it to only be the Nuggets coming through. That's the hardest rivalry in the West for, in my opinion, for the Timberwolves, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of had their number the past few years, but unfortunately, I didn't get to watch that whole game. I turned it on in the fourth quarter. I was doing some stuff for Christmas with Elsa's family and then mine as well, so I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, but obviously I got to watch the best parts. Yeah, I mean, from ants three to send it to OT and then all of OT. It was a very interesting um stretch that I got to see because we closed the gap, brought it all the way back, tied the game, sent it to OT, and then we pulled ahead fairly far. I want to say we were up like 8, 9 points at one point in OT, and then yeah, Jokic kind of just did Jokic things, and it's hard for me to even be upset about that because one, we weren't in a position to win and we got there, and then we lost because the best player in the world started, you know, I mean, doing things that no one else really does.
A
Um,
56, 15, and 15, basically.
yeah, shooting like what? What did he have? Like 80% from the field or
Oh,
something?
he shoots regularly for 60% almost, man. It's
It was
absolutely
absurd.
insane.
That
Yeah,
man
that's
is, there's nothing you can do sometimes because I heard a lot of people talking about, well, why didn't they double team this and that on a couple possessions? But that's kind of like what Jokic wants you to do. When you throw the double at him, I mean, now
he's
they
already
don't
thought about
have
the next pass.
exactly. They don't have never swing the rock anymore. So it's going to Murray or Hardaway or,
Or
a plethora
Spencer
of shooters around
Jones.
him.
Yeah,
Dude,
the
it
two-way
could be
Spencer
anybody.
Jones.
And he's gonna find them. And it just always seems like they're hitting their shots if Jokic finds them on a wide open corner three, which, makes sense. But Murray absolutely killed us. And that's kind of typical with our matchups against them. I want to say our first run to the Western Conference Finals against them, there was this like one of the home games I was at, Murray stole the ball after they scored. There was like 5 seconds before half. They scored, stole the inbound pass, chucked up a half court, made it. And it was like just the story of what he does to us every single matchup. And the numbers might not always show that, I guess, but it feels like every time he plays against us, he reaches this like next level. Same with the Lakers, but I don't know. He had 9 threes on Christmas Day against us, and I don't know the last time I watched somebody hit 9 threes against us. So,
And by the way, last game Nikola Jokic played, he made zero threes. Shot one. He
of
just finds it.
course,
He needed a score there to get that to bring him to OT, and then in OT, I believe he scored the most points of all time by one player in OT. You know,
Jokic.
yes, yes. I want to say it was
Wow.
15 or 18 points there. So clearly, we see the line right now, even though it's been a tough week for OKC with the Timberwolves loss, with almost a playoff series round of the San Antonio Spurs and the Thunder, losing
Hmm.
3 games to the Spurs here. So it's 1-2. And then that 3-4-5, in my opinion, it's three Spurs, four Rockets, or Timberwolves. I can't decide right now. Let's talk about that. I mean, I'm not talking about a certain matchup of how they'd face each other because they're likely not going to face each other, but Houston Rockets have dropped some games, Clippers, but everyone drops games. It's the NBA. That's just how it
Yep,
goes.
it happens.
If you told me last year, I mean, the Warriors beat this Rockets team with no ball handle or something like that. Now you got KD in there who can kind of execute those last offensive possessions and Sangoon taking a leap. It's hard not to roll with the Rockets right now a little bit with continuing to execute with their game plan. Reed Shepard stepping up here, even with strong injuries. Like before Fred VanVleet, this was a top three contender team in the West. And they continued. I'll read it to you, Josh. They have the second offense in the whole NBA without a true point guard in Amen Thompson and Reed Shepard, and eighth on defense. The key factor is Steven Adams here. The Timberwolves actually doing pretty steady here too. I have this pulled up: ninth in offense, seventh in defense, eighth in net rating. So they're both pretty close right
Yeah.
now on consistency. I mean, 20-12 record for the Timberwolves, which is an amazing record, which lands a 20-12 record, which is fantastic, which would land them third in the East, is a sixth seed in the West.
Yeah. Isn't that frustrating, man?
It is. I mean, the Houston Rockets are
Oh,
19-10, and that's fifth in the Western Conference, so it gets them above just because the Timberwolves have lost more games. It drops you a little bit there. Um,
yep.
I'm gonna analyze hard the next matchup if they do face each other again here with the Timberwolves and Rockets. I'm interested in how they would match up wise, and it depends. Maybe we see if they play future in the season. Maybe we see a little trade here where maybe the Timberwolves get an upgrade, or the Rockets decide to go guard hunting as well. I'm going to put the Rockets at 4, 5 at Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves are. I have to say this before we move into another segment. The Timberwolves clearly are gelling a little bit and are hitting a little bit of a state a third of the way through the season and going into the All Star break. They are still fantastic. They've dropped some games they shouldn't have, right? Kings game, Suns game, Nets game. Am I missing anything? It's just anything can happen on an NBA night, right? But
Yeah. And honestly, we kind of have a weird thing where we tend to like play to our competition. So, against the Thunder, we have a great game and we, etch out a win. It's fantastic. And then, a couple of days later, we lose to a bottom feeder. And it's pretty frustrating, but that's kind of always how we've been. So I don't really take those losses. I don't take those to heart too much because, like you said, teams drop games. Um, this, us specifically, we drop games quite a bit. But whenever we're playing a good team, we seem to show up. I haven't really seen very few bad games against good teams this year.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I've got the plus or minus on the team. You've maybe looked at it beforehand. You know the team well. It's a steady answer of who the plus or minus is, and it's not surprising because he does so many things that we don't really see, and maybe we make fun of what he actually does. Who do you think it is?
Big Roo.
It is Rudy
Oh yeah,
Gobert.
baby.
Oh yeah, by just one at plus 155. Second, DiVincenzo plus 154. Both dudes that have led this team to a top 10 defensive stability. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Rudy
Yep.
Gobert, you can make fun of him for calling for the ball almost every play, which he is open, and I understand being 7 feet tall. I would love to dunk it every single time too, right? But he's playing good. He's not showing his
Yeah,
age too much. But what do you think about him? And DiVincenzo, in trade rumors, do you have to give him up for something? I'd rather keep him right now.
I would really rather not trade Dante, and a couple of those things you mentioned are actually in my positives.
Go ahead, start with it,
For the Wolves. So like I
please,
guess
please.
I have Ant as my first on my list, but I'll go with Rudy here because he's who we're talking about right now. But I actually love that he shows his hands every time and is asking for the ball because it
Stay
could be the
ready.
fourth quarter and he's gotten like one pass all game and he's still down there if he thinks he has a matchup that he likes. He's showing hands, got one behind, ready for it. Like he's never discouraged. And it's kind of awesome, man. He's always putting in effort. He'll get dunked on. Jokic will drop 55 on him, but his strength isn't really like guarding Jokic one on one, where he is
No one's
so,
strength is
so
that.
valuable. Well, exactly. No one can do that. But his real value comes in like when he's not the on-ball defender and he's there. Someone's driving in, they get a blow by, and boom, they see Rudy, and they're like, ah, shit, maybe I gotta pass this. I can't. I'll throw a floater up maybe, but not everybody's great at floaters, so that's not super consistent. Obviously, you've got like some of them who are, but his presence alone is just it really sets the tone for the rest of us because when you see Rudy playing his heart out, and he gets into it with players too, which again I
Oh
really
yeah.
like. I love when people are feisty like that because it energizes the team. And
It's hard to keep that energy up for 82, right?
oh, for sure. And everyone has moments where they slow down a little bit or maybe take a play off, but he's really, really involved on almost every single defensive possession. And whenever he comes off the court, I haven't checked this year, but in the past, the Randall and Nas numbers for defense are not very good, and I don't think they're super good on offense either, actually. Um, our rebounding numbers definitely drop when Rudy comes off, and not that he's a little frustrating because sometimes he'll like try and hold his player down, his matchup, and grab with one hand, and then he gets
Yeah,
ripped from behind by, a guard crashing in or something. But we have nobody who rebounds like him. I think Julius is averaging like six or so, maybe seven now.
seven exactly. He's second, and then third is Nas Reed, kind of being that backup center at 6.2. But still, no one comes close with Rudy at 11 here, and that's a
Yeah. And
decline from his career.
right, I think he averages like 13 or so for his career, maybe a little bit less. You
Yeah,
have that number
12,
up?
12.
Okay, 12. Yeah, so
Jamie,
he's
Jamie, Jamie, can I get that
yeah,
number?
pull that up. Um, yes, so he's probably it's hard for me to say like who my favorite players are on the Wolves because I get pretty attached to all of them. But I really, really, really like having him on our team. And like you said, a lot of people kind of like to clown him or try and diminish what he does because they see Jokic drop 55 points. But it's the same thing like Brook Lopez used to cook us whenever he was on the Bucks because we don't want Rudy going out to the three to contest Brook Lopez. We want him in the paint where he's valuable. And
Yes.
Brook Lopez seemed to always have like six or seven threes against us because that was not intentional, by the way. But um,
Coming, oh,
he,
bro, you got that brain rot brain, huh?
yeah,
I mean, Brook Lopez now, I mean, he could prove he still did it after a couple of DNPs this past week. Nine
yeah,
threes career high, starting finally.
yeah.
Okay, so before we get into maybe more positive or negatives of this team from your perspective, I think it's only fair that we do a realism fan check on you.
Okay,
Are
that's
you a
fair.
fan that is like, oh yeah, we're going like this could be just any team, just of who you view a team and how much you're into it. Oh yeah, let's go all the way. We're going all the way. Like, what is your realistic perspective? Do you dial it back and actually view at the flaws of the team, or are you just like all the way in? Then we'll figure something out or make up some excuse afterwards. Like, where's your realism on a fan attitude?
You know, honestly, I don't even think you can be too much into it right now because we've made Western Conference Finals back-to-back years. So it shouldn't be crazy to anyone for me to say I think we have a decent shot at winning the championship. You know,
Okay,
that being said, we're not the favorite by any means. Like the Thunder kind of spanked us last year, which is yeah, those games weren't very fun to be at. Other than the one, we cooked them one game and then they just yeah, kind of dismantled us.
but
But
what is
I mean,
then? What give me a percentage of Western Conference Finals again? The chance of the Timberwolves getting there a third time here. The
I think
hardest
it would
time
depend
too.
on our path. Like if we play the Thunder in the second round, that's a pretty tough path. Against most other teams, I'm pretty confident we could at least take them to six or seven games in any of the rounds. So
You'd potentially want to be on
maybe
the Nuggets side if the Nuggets fall into two, if they continue to play well with all these injured guys. If the Nuggets fall in the two on the other side of the bracket here, you'd rather maybe be on that side, give your chance with that, and face the Thunder again once in the Western Conference Finals, huh?
exactly. Yeah, I mean we like I said, we've kind of had their number recently. Um I think we match up pretty well with them. The first year we played them to get to the Western Conference Finals, we really kind of shut them down by stopping the Aaron Gordon lobs and forcing them
You're
to
talking the
take more
Nuggets.
threes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And
I thought you were
I
talking
think
the Thunder.
no, I think we just kind of have their style of play figured out more than most other teams because we've played them so many times. Now, it's scary because you either got to choose between like Shea or Jokic that you want to play against. And I mean, I'm going to be at those games, so I kind of would rather watch the Nuggets because Shea sucks to watch. Um,
He is a little infuriating, huh?
and Jokic is pretty fun to watch because even when he's destroying you, it's like this big dad bod white dude who isn't very athletic.
And you
And
get to see some flashy passes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's now important that you give me a negative on this team. You being a real fan, what do you see as a big flaw here? Because you've been pretty vocal on some takes on this podcast before. Oh, I don't want to get rid of McDonald's. I don't want
I,
Jalen Suggs. I don't.
I don't like Suggs.
All right. Well, what do
That
you think
remains the
is
same.
is negative about this team then, huh? Well,
Um,
pal.
I think there's two major flaws to this team. I think I think the true point guard or another scorer is a little overblown, and I think a bigger problem is like a true big man to come off the bench. Because if Rudy goes out with, in foul trouble, or he just needs a break, like I said earlier, our rebounding goes way down. Our defense is significantly worse, like a lot worse. And I think that kind of gets overblown by this like guard talk. And it would be super nice to have another scoring guard or someone who can just kind of create some stuff. And, all my mock trades are pretty much about guards. So I'm not really following my own thoughts on this, but I just I don't think we can withstand like a Rudy injury.
Okay.
Um, I think we could if like Mike goes down, not Mike, sorry, Dante goes down, um, or Jaden goes down. I think we can deal with something like that a lot easier
Yeah.
than losing like our entire defense and our rebounding.
Well, that makes me, and also prepared a mock trade, but it is strictly guard involved. It kind of makes me think of some centers that aren't deserving their time. And my mind goes to Nick Richards of the Phoenix Suns. $5 million contract, not bad. 1 year, can play it out for some backup things because he's a valuable rebounder. I think he's not terrible. Mason Plumlee on the Charlotte Hornets. Those two flip flop teams basically. Um,
Every year.
but
They're
he
just
doesn't really play that much. Maybe there's a chance for that. Make a call in for B-ball Paul if there's something there. I might agree with you a little bit there that without this, it's just Nas Reed behind him, who's not the best defensive center at all, and a little small. But and then your first round pick and your second round pick, which we can tell that the Timberwolves head coach does not believe in his young players as much and believes that time is needed, especially for both one and dones. He's probably not ready for that. So that's a great idea, Josh. Um, I'll have to think about that more of what centers might be out there. But Nick Richards, they have a lottery pick that needs to play, and they got a second round pick that needs to play. So and they have Mark Williams, so they might be interested in giving up a little something for that. That's great. Do you want to go to one of your mock trades?
yeah, sure. I got a couple here. So you tell me how you feel about them as well. These are all just kind of like shots in the dark. We can adjust them.
Did these get run through the trade machine? They're possible.
Yeah, they're possible.
Okay.
So we got we got Mike Conley, Terrence Shannon, and Leonard Miller for Dennis Schroeder. The Kings could
Okay.
probably get a little bit more for him, but they're terrible. They're not really, I mean, he's been a pretty good player for him, but obviously it's not making much of a difference. We're giving up Shannon and Miller as our young pieces, and then Mike really is like the contract match.
Sure.
Um, Two of those players are painful to lose, and Mike is like the vet around the locker room and like a fan favorite. And then Shannon has shown a lot of like explosiveness and here and there he hits his threes. But he's kind of fallen out of Finch's favor for whatever reason. He gets minutes here and there. Every once in a while he'll play 20-ish minutes, but he's not getting consistent time.
You're
Um,
ready to get rid of him that fast, huh?
well, the problem is if we need to trade for somebody, we're gonna have to give up somebody valuable that we like.
Yes.
And I think it falls to him for me at least.
Terrence Shannon Jr. negative 82, dead last in the plus minus for the Timberwolves this year.
Well, the eye
Dennis
test
Schroeder,
is passing for me.
Dennis Schroeder's Definitely a guard Zach and I brought up many times on this podcast, just as much as Ben Simmons for no reason. Um, a valuable guard. So you want to then start him and put DiVincenzo to the bench, Josh?
That's a tough. I really
And then you're still like, isn't the reason you let Nickeil Alexander Walker, first of all, you couldn't pay him because of the Nas Reed and Julius resigning, but like, we got Terrence Shannon Jr., you got Jalen Clark. Jalen Clark can maybe fill the void, but he doesn't even get playing time as much anymore now, too. I just worry about getting rid of Terrence Shannon Jr. a little too soon. Mike Conley, if there's a trade this season, he probably has to be in it with that contract. But all for Dennis Schroeder, it's interesting. I would go for a guy a little bit higher. I've got one for you here.
okay.
Also ran through the trade machine, had to mess around with it. You send Mike Conley. Actually, the best players go first. Rob Dillingham is better than Mike Conley right now. A question which we can kind of get into: what is the path here with the youth? What I mean by that before getting this mock trade is players that have played 4 years or less. This is who is on that team, and I'm ranking it in order of best. Rob, number one. This is his second year. A lot of potential. Gave up a lot of picks for him. Highly regarded. Talk of the town. TSJ, second year. Older player. Still has some value as a wing, maybe in this NBA and for the team. Third best player of the youth is a first round pick center. Let him be. He needs time to develop. That's perfectly fine. Fourth, I put Clark. Don't know what exactly his route is with this team moving forward. I don't know if he'll be here next season. Second to last here, Leonard Miller. Please get rid of him. They are no way going to guarantee his fourth year option this summer. He's a trade piece. I don't think he might not even be in the league next year. And then lastly, just the two-way players. Most importantly, their second round pick center. I've got the trade here, man. Rob Dillingham has to go. He has some trade interest. If you're trying to do the third Western Conference Finals in a row for an expensive team, you have to throw Rob in because clearly trade him while he's been exposed not too much for his lack of defensive ability and maybe a little scared to make the right choice. Or a choice that might benefit, but he wants to stay on the floor, so you might not take as many risks. So Rob and Mike Conley have to go. Then you attach Leonard Miller and force second round picks from 2026, 2027, 2029. You make a leap here, see what you can get, see if this is enough for an expiring contract with Kobe White and Javon Carter. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Kobe,
if we could pull that off, I wouldn't mind that at all. Kobe White's pretty explosive. He can get you 30 even some nights.
averaging
I'm
close to
fine trading
21.
Rob for that. What's his
Averaging
assist looking like?
21, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shooting 80% from free throw, 32, a career low from three, and 44 or 45%. Coming back from injury, kind of put the Bulls down a little bit, even though he hits big shots. Cannot or will not re-sign with them during this season because the numbers of that's contract extension are not valuable, and he will test free agency this summer. Maybe that takes care of a little bit of scoring, takes it off Anthony Edwards back. You keep DiVincenzo, you move Kobe White back to the point guard role. He has played that before. He is point slash shooting guard. You can't really give up a first round pick here. You have to give up some fourth round pick. I mean, second round picks, four of them. But the big part of it is Ron Dillingham. You have Josh Giddey. You have Trey Jones. The Bulls could use some more youth that they can play around with. Do you think they would say yes, no, ask for more?
They're not very good. It's always kind of hard for me with the teams that are bad. The Bulls, particularly because they've been so reluctant to trade players. I think they're going to want to ask for too much. Now, will they get much more than that? I don't know. I would be fine accepting that trade as a Timberwolves fan and owner and GM. And I think the Bulls probably should too, because in my mind, they got to hit, I mean, Vucevic is still on that team. Like they gotta restart at some point, and any young player is going to be helpful for that. I would actually be kind of interested in trading for another Bull, Io. I think,
Oh, Ao DeSumo or something like that?
yeah, I think he could be valuable. He's a pretty solid scorer. I think he's having one of his better years, averaging like what, close to 15 or something. Um, he's a fairly good creator off the dribble, and he'd be a fair amount cheaper. So I'd be interested in seeing what's his salary.
Seven something
Okay,
expiring
so maybe
deal.
we toss like Mike in there, and are they over the cap or no?
The Bulls, notoriously, they don't spend much money, but I forget because they have a Patrick Williams contract, they have a Josh Giddey contract, they have a Vucevic, Zach Collins contract. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, they're paying Javon Carter 6.8, and they're paying Trey Jones. So,
I
um,
mean, if we could just do like Mike and a couple of those seconds for AO, I would uh I would do that.
yeah, this team does not change players. This is AO's fifth year. They've had uh, Vucevic, as you know, and I don't know how Vucevic ended up in a career where he gets to stay. Well, he's played for three organizations, but to stay with the Magic and Bulls and to find a home where he consistently can just be comfortable and just
Yeah.
staying where he's at. Very lucky man, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only trade idea I have with the Timberwolves. I do think there needs to be some investigation into a backup center. I think you're right there because Nas can play the four most of the time, and that won't be a problem. I will say we can talk about your boy when we get back from the break, but Jaden McDaniels coming in and impressing me offensively. Um, we'll be right back after a break.
Oh
We'll wrap
yeah.
it up. Oh yeah, hey man, take it away, man.
All
Talk about
right.
whatever you want.
So I want to start with Jalen Clark since you mentioned him earlier and how he's not really getting any minutes, kind of falling out of the rotation a little bit. Um, it's a little frustrating because every time he does get in, he's making these plays where he kind of does the Jose Alvarado where he hangs around a little bit,
Punches
hides, and then
people.
not quite that one. I saw that though.
You have to say
Mark
it if you're
Williams
bringing
is
it
like
up. Yeah,
2 feet taller than him and stuff.
he
And
landed
just,
one, man. He
oh
landed
yeah, he
it.
got a good lick in there. Um, but he kind of just like hangs around a baseline and then steals inbound passes. He dives for 50-50 balls. He's always in lanes when people are driving around their defender and he's like the next guy. He gets hands in there. Maybe not a steal, but he'll get a few deflections. And
Can we label that as a? Let's label it in due time. We'll find a better name. We'll call it the Gary Payton the second player.
there you go. That's a good temporary name for it.
Yeah,
But he fills that role really well, and he usually hits his corner threes as well. He's not much of like a dribble creator or creator at all, I guess, for that matter. He's a pretty strong finisher if he's just like 2 steps go up for a layup. Um, but he's active on the rebounds. He's active. He has active hands. He's active on defense, and I really wish he'd get some more minutes. I kind of like him. I wish we could take some of the minutes that Shannon gets and give it to him. Because he makes really, really impactful plays all the time.
Clark averaging
Um,
about 14 minutes per game. He didn't dress for one of the games and then inactive for the other two. He is playing, but not to the role that you want with Shannon Jr. eating up some of his minutes, but they're both pretty low on the minute scale here.
yeah.
Shannon actually averaging less minutes than Clark, but you're like, let's solidify this lineup a little bit. Let's
hmm
provide consistency to these players so they can develop more into the role. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Shannon's been like a nice mix up this year, but I really believe Clark earns more consistent time, man. Because every time I see him on the court, it's like refreshing because he's playing really tough on ball defense, and off ball. He's just like a really fun player to watch because he's like swarming around and tries super hard, kind of like how Rudy's always putting the effort in.
Yeah.
Clark does the same thing. So he kind of has that like defensive role, but he hasn't obviously grown into like the offense that had, but he's kind of been I think just like underused this year.
So you're
Um,
it's the opening round of the playoffs. What players are you playing? Is it straight? I'm just gonna go through the easy ones here. Anthony Edwards, DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, McDaniels, Rudy, Nasrid. So that's six. Are
Yep.
you playing Mike Conley in a playoff game? You
I
might
think you
have to.
gotta, yeah, I was gonna say, I think you might have to throw him in a little bit. I really would not. I mean, 10 minutes maybe in a playoff game.
7, and then you do have, let's not forget, you still do have Bones Highland on a regular contract. He can now play playoff games. That's a
Yeah,
guy who's been eating up some minutes, Josh.
he has earned every minute he plays.
Yeah.
He's another guy I have in my positive. This past month, at least, he's been fantastic. Before that, he wasn't getting a lot of time. And he can kind of fall into some of the same mistakes that Rob makes, where he'll, kind of he just turns the ball over a little bit much, puts the ball in harm's way. But for the negatives that he brings, his positives outweigh them. Um, he's a super like shifty shooter. He doesn't need a lot of space and kind of
He's
that like
doing he's
creation void
doing
that we have.
yeah. Yeah, he's doing what maybe they wanted Rob to do. He's just doing it at a better level right now. So they're playing him over him, and he started 3 games. He's
Exactly.
shooting
And he
48
played
and
pretty well in those games
39.
he started.
Yeah, he's
Is he really at
shooting.
39%? Dang.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence
Wow.
Shannon is 41%, but he also shoots
Yeah, but
two threes a game and makes one barely.
yeah.
So I get what you mean. So maybe that eighth or ninth guy is either Bones Highland, Rob, Terrence, or Jalen Clark. Maybe
Yeah,
you got to play another guard.
I don't think Rob's getting the time. I think it's Bones and some Clark depending on what we need.
That's pretty solid. That's
Yeah,
not bad.
I think so.
It's not no Thunder where you got Caruso coming off or Aaron
Yeah.
Wiggins. I mean, Aaron Wiggins is unreal in my opinion. And then Isaiah Joe is 11th man. You don't have
And
that,
he's,
but
oh my God, that team is so broken. Yeah. I think I texted you before. The Thunder, when they were playing us, the first game that we lost to them, they just made like no errors, no mistakes, and everybody was hitting threes. Everybody was playing hard defense. I really don't like Dort.
who's had a
This
not
is
as good season for sure.
and it's karma. He deserves to have a bad season. I do
Kendrick
not like
Williams,
that.
AJ Mitchell still coming off the bench. I mean,
And
it's just
Mitchell
insane.
destroyed us. I think he had like 24 against us that first game. It was ridiculous. But anyways, Bones is a positive because he's flashy, score, fun to watch. He's even got a little bit better on defense because, I mean, a common theme with us is like players who have been historically looked at as bad defenders, like Julius. They kind of step it up when they come to the Wolves because I don't know if this is Rudy or Finch or some other factor, but they all at least put effort in where maybe they looked like they hadn't been before.
Yeah,
So Julius probably isn't a great defender still. I don't know what the numbers exactly say, but I don't think he's like you know,
he's still
he's
high in the
maybe an
plus and
above
minus
average one.
range. Yeah,
Yeah, but he's everyone who plays with us, they ramp up their defense a bit. So Bones obviously is very small. He's not very strong, so he kind of can get bullied a little bit, but he tries, which is, encouraging. Um, Another one I have, so Dante, I think people throw him in these trade talks, but I
he's
would,
not
there's,
not the word untouchable, but just let's not talk about him right now. Like
yeah,
let's leave him
because
be.
he's become, well, he's been good since he's been on the Knicks for sure. Even with the Warriors, he had moments in the Bucks and stuff, but he's so scrappy. He gets in everyone's face. I looked to like last year, his fight with Ron Holland. That was awesome. That was so much fun. The stadium was so loud, but he just like gets in people's grills. He's hustling on
Ron Holland.
defense, a great shooter. Yeah, that dude's a bum. I don't like him. Dante pieced him up. But he's just like sometimes he's cold and he'll go 1 for 10, whatever. But then he'll have a flamethrower the next night and hit 4 or 5 threes in big moments and get a couple steals. He's also really good at running the fast break. I always feel pretty confident with that. He doesn't always finish his layups, but he gets to the rim quick and forces a foul sometimes or a quick decision by the defense. And I really, really like him running that. I think he's our best like fast break orchestrator. Um, Ant usually likes to kind of slow it down. which is
Indeed.
always a little weird to me because he's so athletic. I kind of wish he would just attack on the fast break. I'm sure he'd get more fouls if he did. Um,
He loves
but he
shooting. I'm
doesn't
sure he
seem
does
to.
though.
He does, but he's still, I feel, I mean, he's an elite shooter at this point.
Yes.
So it's fine shooting. He's kind of become this like almost perfect ISO scorer where his footwork is amazing. His mid-range shots almost always feel like they're going to go in. He's got step back threes, off the dribble threes. He's
Yeah.
hardly ever catching shooting because again, that kind of goes back to our like secondary engine. We don't really have a great option for that. But I
Him and
feel,
Donovan Mitchell are pretty comparable on how they're
yeah.
able to find their shots. They do slow it down. Both players do. Heavy ISO
hmm
occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's probably one of the more frequent ISO players in the league. Um, but again, it's like I don't have any problem with that. I know ISO ball is not like the thing in today's NBA, but sometimes
Right.
it works.
Efficiency or blah blah blah. Yeah.
Bro, whatever. Shoot threes, not
Nerd.
mid-range.
Nerd.
Nerd. But yeah, he's super fun to watch. I still see like the most recent example against the Nuggets. He gets blitzed at the end of that overtime where they're double screening or double teaming off the screen. And he has had trouble for that for a few years now, with that for a few years now. So I think that's kind of been his kryptonite. When you look at like the really, really good players around the league outside of Ant, Luca comes to mind. Whenever he gets blitzed, it's a pass right away to a wide open player because somebody's open, and Luca always
Yeah.
finds him. And now Luca's a much better passer than Ant is, but I'd like to see Ant get to the point where he's making a quick decision to get the ball out of his hands off those
Yeah.
and trusting his teammates to score because those blitzes kind of give him some fits. Um, I also wish he did foul bait a little bit more, as bad as that
Whoa.
sounds, because like you look at Shea averaging what, 33, 34 a game for the past three
Yeah.
years, and it's absolutely horrendous to watch him play. There's probably no one in the league I like to watch less than him, which is too bad because when he doesn't foul bait, he's incredible and he still scores however he wants. So it sucks. But Ant never does any of those little like head fakes or those moves that are like purely for drawing fouls. And I feel like he could average a lot more per game if he did do some of those things. Maybe not all the time, maybe just sprinkle it in here and there so I don't have to get frustrated watching him too. But
Yeah. Shea
I
averaging
think he's
about
got a higher ceiling.
Yeah, Shea averaging about 9.2 free throw attempts a game. Trying to find. Sorry, I had my stats up here for Anthony Edwards, and you do have to. It's a way to not to use your body as much during the 82 game season. I see what you mean there. Um, free throw attempt it's about 7.6 for Anthony Edwards.
Okay, so only like one and a half more. But that's without Shea playing a lot of fourth quarters and stuff too. You know, if he was
Yeah,
playing more minutes, I think he'd have a lot more attempts.
but a career high
Either way,
29. Career high 29 for
yeah.
Anthony Edwards. Pretty impressive.
Yep, he's playing out of his mind lately. Even last game against the Nets, I mean, we looked really bad, but he still, I think, had over 25 points. So even when we're all off, he seems to still play pretty well, which is awesome.
Yeah, he
We
had
haven't had like
28.
a, yeah, there you go. All right, another positive. On the podcast, like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago at this point, I told you Jaden McDaniels would average 16 points per game. I was a few seasons early, but he's there now, or
Oh
just
yeah,
about there.
just
And
about.
he's become, uh, at the beginning of the year, he was like historically shooting the three ball. Let's come back down to earth a little bit, but he's still become a much better three-point shooter. He gets his mid-range shots off really easily because he's such a long player. And he kind of has this little really close to the basket mid-range fade that feels like it's always going in. He's still pretty explosive. He just had a nasty dunk last game.
It was the fake
Um,
lob poster.
oh, bam.
Fire.
Yeah, it was sweet. So he's still got his like, his moments where he kind of disappears on offense. But there was a couple games where Ant was out where he was scoring like almost 30 points. And
He's
we've
had
seen
some
that a
great
couple
nights.
times from him.
You were so right. I mean, a couple years ago, no one can find the footage, so like we don't know if you're right. I only have the vault ones. But it's impressed me. I mean, I talked to a lot of people. It's just like Jaden needs to do something here offensively. You paid him all this money, 15 points per game, 51% from the field, over 40 from the 3 point, and 86 from the free throw line. I think the biggest factor with him is Western Conference players do fear him, and it is all over the scouting report of what he's going to do to you.
Hmm.
We just need him to keep his cool and stay level headed and continue to do his thing. He's very comfortable right now, and this is the exact role. I don't want anything more.
Yep.
Just do what you are doing, man. What a great surprise to have next for Julius Randle right next to him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and this is kind of why I was saying that like 16 number because at the time Cat was the number two option, but now Julius is. And I think he's like that 16 number is perfect because you're not asking him to do too much, but he's still contributing to the point where it's like I feel pretty comfortable with him as the number three guy.
Dude, I'm just looking at these points per games, going down the list on these Timberwolves. God, so much better than the Warriors. Imagine having a fifth person or a sixth person and he's averaging 13.7. Like
Nas Reed.
it just this offense is beautiful, and the more we look at it, or I'm just staring at my screen and you're talking about it. I mean, they do have the core strength to get them pretty far here. It just sadly we're on the Minnesota border, right next to us on the Wisconsin side. It's Eastern Conference.
Ah,
Don't get mad about that, bro. I think it's perfect. You want
I
to be in the
know.
West, get the good matchups, more entertaining
Yeah.
games. You know what I mean? It's just this team looks great. I need a negative. Can I get a negative here, man? So sick of the positive.
All right, let me search for one here. Um, I think our bench, we're really kind of like one strong right now on our bench. Like
Right.
Nas just comes in and he's obviously fantastic, former six man of the year. But we don't really have another person who's like coming in and I'm like, I trust this person to play huge playoff minutes and like get 30 minutes a game in the playoffs if need be. And a lot of other big teams, well, I guess the Thunder are the main example. They have that. And that's really what separates like the top from the next tier
Oh,
because
it significantly drops here. It significantly
yeah.
drops. I'm just looking at him like, damn, I low-key have to play Bones Highland a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, we don't really have another scoring option,
Yeah.
at least for now, until Rob turns into something or we trade for someone
Or Kobe White comes
or
in.
yeah, or we see some crazy progression from Shannon again and he starts playing good. But like we had seven last year that could play lots of minutes. And losing that extra person, I was like a real believer that Clark and Shannon as a pair could fill that role, and they really haven't. I know I
That's
was
the
just
negative.
gassing up
That's
Clark, but
No, I know, but that's the negative I wanted to bring up actually. Is right now, in my opinion, maybe third or fourth on a most improved player candidate, Nickel Alexander Walker, who we kind of knew, and by midseason we were all crunching the numbers and kind of saw, okay, well, someone has to go off the Timberwolves here, and it had to be him. Sadly, imagine getting this guy and retaining him. You just couldn't pay everyone. You just couldn't.
yeah, we
Or
couldn't.
if you traded Rob or Mike Conley, you can make room for it. I believe maybe. But imagine having this 20 point per game scorer, a 45, fucking 38, and just in his bag leading teams and having more clutch moments than we ever thought he would ever have.
Yeah.
That's the biggest negative. Sadly, having to
Oh,
lose him. It was an expensive
yeah, man.
contract.
I
Expensive
know.
contract. But I was wondering halfway through this season, just going through some rough spouts before the Timberwolves went on a pretty good streak as they're on a 2 game losing streak, but just the record overall, I'm like, was Nas Reed worth it for all this money? And it's hard to get over the fan factor with him, you know,
Yeah,
to
I mean, there
see.
he is right there,
Yeah, just to see.
you know.
So that's my only negative right now that I can think of other than just the youth plan. Um, Pretty exciting team.
Yeah, I actually have Nas inconsistency as one of mine as well because, he'll have a couple games here and there where he'll show like 20-ish points, maybe a little bit more, have a few threes, some nice boards, a block. Um, he's also like maybe throwing a couple hook shots in there, backing some people down. And then you have some games where he kind of has marginal to minimal impact. Like he's got maybe 5 points and 3 boards, and he's 0 for 5 from three. So
Yeah,
with him being like our sole major contributor off the bench, we need him to be more consistent. And I know he's never going to be like, he's just a different player than like a six-man guard type of guy. So
yeah.
he's a luxury and not like a, I think you can succeed without a player like Nas, but having a player like Nas is just like this awesome.
He's
Um,
yeah, he's come through on some big games where that offensive lift has that energy also has brought the Timberwolves above the edge on many occasions. 32 games so far this season, 9 games of single scoring. And there are some 10-point games in there as well, 10, 12, stuff like that. I mean, clearly when he gets his averages, it's because he occasionally goes on a 19, 22, 28, or 18, 20, 16, 15, or 18, 19, 19, 19.
yeah,
A luxury to have a gem that there is. I also should say lineup of do Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, and Jaden McDaniels is the most experienced 5-man lineup in the NBA, as in minutes together, and
really.
offensive rating of 122.2, 23 games played together.
Oh, this
Um,
season.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this season that starting lineup has played more than anything else, so that's good to see. That consistency is what you build off of a 20-12 record. So it's a good start for the Timberwolves. We're gonna do another deep dive maybe after the All Star break, see if anything happens because the trade deadline is now before. And we'll take a look. I mean, I would kind of lock them in for sure as a top 6 seed. They are not touching the play-in tournament this year once again, um, and they should just be able to. They just need to find a couple sparks, get a couple games out of some people, and stretch it out here a little bit. But I think when we're talking about the bench and then we're comparing the Thunder bench, it's hard to be like, we're just going to try it again. We're just going to go into this and try to go to the Western Conference Finals. This is the hardest time it's ever been. So I think a
Hmm.
move might be needed to had. Maybe it's a center. Maybe it's a guard. We'll see what they're cooking up. You always believe in the GM. You like a new ownership. Things are turning the Timberwolves' way. That's all I got, Josh. I appreciate you being here. Before we go, we typically like to pick a game, or it can be any game. It does not have to be a national game. It doesn't even have to be a Timberwolves game. Games for next week that we are looking forward to. Now with the NBA Cup being done and Christmas being done, it's back to regular scheduled games. I've got one here since while you're still looking here. On Tuesday, December 30th, on Peacock and NBC, which I've been enjoying those presentations and broadcastings, the Detroit Pistons are coming into LA against the Lakers. Austin Reeves is still out for more than a month. This is the time for the Timberwolves to solidify that lead over the Lakers in the standings here. Um, just look forward to the Detroit Pistons coming into town. They just lost to the Jazz. Um, I want to see a little LeBron and Luca with no Austin Reeves. See how far that team can get. You find one yet?
Yeah, I think the Knicks and Spurs game sounds pretty interesting.
Woo!
You know, big
When's
market
that?
Knicks, not so big. That's Wednesday. Um, Spurs aren't always like they're not a big market, but they're the Spurs. They're historical. I think everyone's going to be healthy for that. And, Wemby's probably one of the top three most fun players to watch in the league because he's Wemby and he is insane. Have you been to any Spurs games with him?
I've been to a Timberwolves game with the Spurs. It was a slow 15-10 game from him. Nothing insane, but I'm glad. I've never seen LeBron, but I can check Wemby off the list. Ooh,
Yeah.
and Josh also like I work on New Year's Eve, but we've got the Warriors starting here at 12 p.m. How am I gonna get any work done? We got afternoon games on a weekday. It's the best. So that's really exciting. But a NBA Cup rematch, that's a great game. That's a League Pass exclusive. So
Yeah.
we'll see something
And
exciting there.
it should be pretty entertaining. You got some skilled big men, exciting guards,
Oh yeah, Dylan
two
Harper over
contenders.
Dylan Harper, Rob Dillingham. If Rob Dillingham plays, all right, Bones Highland and Jordan McLaughlin. Let's see them go toe to toe.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching, hopefully, and listening. Appreciate everything. All right, Josh. Peace, homie.
Later, man.
Peace.